Well, hello and welcome to this Thursday's Movie News, aka Friday's Movie News, because it's very late here. It's already Friday. Let's crack on with it, man, though. Don't give a shit about time, I'm a Nighthawk. The headline, if you've clicked on it, is all about Netflix. It's about Sony, it's about SpiderMan, and it's about all of the other titles which could be coming out from Sony Studios, the actual movie studio, not the music or the video games, just the fucking movies we're speaking about, because it's movie news. As you can see up there, they're all going to be going to Netflix in the future. They have penned a rather large deal with the streaming service, a big deal. A lot of people, fans of Marvel, of the characters from the Spider-Man side of things in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we are wanting these movies to head on over to Disney Plus. It's not going to be happening now. I'm kind of conflicted with this news. I would have liked to have seen Tom Holland's Peter Parker slinging his way over to the Disney Plus streaming service, because of course all of the other Disney properties, Disney Marvel Cinematic Universe properties are residing on that stream. Well, maybe not Hulk, but they're residing, most of them are residing on that streaming service, and for the just continuity and keeping it all in the one place, it would have been nice, but it's not to be. Look, I don't really care. I've got Netflix as well, so I'm a happy chap regardless. I'll watch the movies any which way I can get my hands on them, and it's just nice to see that we have a home for the Spider-Man movies. We have a home for all of the Sony movies. I'd have to look into some of the other Sony products that aren't featuring web slinging. I don't actually know of many. I maybe have to look into them and see what they're producing this year. See what we're going to get on the streaming service. How big a news this actually is. For just Spider-Man alone, it's big news though, isn't it? Let's be honest. We've got this quote here. It's coming from the head of global films at Netflix, Scott Stuber. What a name. He says, "This Sony Pictures is a great partner and we are thrilled to expand our relationship through this forward-thinking agreement. This not only allows us to bring their impressive slate of beloved film franchises and new IP to Netflix." Well, they must have something up their sleeves out with Spider-Man that I'm not aware of. I'll look at it in a moment. In the US, that's the real interesting one there. In the US, does this continue over to the United Kingdom and further markets? We know that there's very different catalogues. Lord knows we used to use a VPN to get onto the US one because it was much better. So this may not even be pertinent to the United Kingdom. But look, it also establishes a new source of first-run films for Netflix movie lovers worldwide. And we've got this. This is the Sony Pictures World Distribution President. It's Keith Legoy. He's had this to say: "Netflix has been a terrific partner as we continue to expand our relationship. At Sony Pictures, we produce some of the biggest blockbusters and most creative original films in the industry." They certainly do. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was very creative, very different. No one else would have had the balls to make that movie, to make 7 or 8 different separate movies to create that vision. Because of course, if you looked into the creative side of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, you would know that all of those different Spider-Man characters had their own movies shot length, beginning to end, so they could put them in at any point. So they certainly do make interesting content, different content over at Sony, and this is a bit of a coup for Netflix to have this deal in place. This is a real blow to Disney for the Spider-Man thing, and it's a blow to the other competitors in this streaming battle. Netflix are the absolute leader. They are miles ahead of the competition. They need every little help they can get. Disney are expanding at a rate of knots. Amazon have trillions of dollars in their back pockets, and we've got Apple in the game as well, and numerous other studios have got their own streaming services. HBO Max, Peacock I think is the other god awful one. So this is a coup for Netflix to get a big established studio like this to sign a deal whereby they are in a sense giving exclusivity for all of the releases in the future to them. I'm trying desperately to find Sony films. I just want to see what movies they've got coming out in 2021 and beyond. Certainly looking at it, they've got Spider-Man, they've got Spider-Man, they've got more Spider-Man. They've got the Emoji Movie. Didn't really care about that, never watched it. Yeah, it's lots of kids stuff, isn't it, really? They've got lots and lots of kids stuff, and that's maybe something that Netflix is lacking the younger demographic, having their needs catered to. It's usually adult and teenage sort of content. So maybe this will open the door for more youthful, younger content. The Kid Detective, there's lots and lots of kid stuff. I'm going to search up Sony films 2021 because my finger is not on the pulse when it comes to Sony, and find out what movies they are bringing to the table which will make their way onto this streaming service as an aside to No Way Home, because we know No Way Home exists. Anyone who's a fan of Marvel knows that exists. They're doing Cinderella, they're doing Venom, of course, they're doing Venom, and of course Morbius. They're doing Uncharted. That is a big movie coming out with Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg. When that finally slips its way onto Netflix, that will bring some eyeballs to that streaming service. Mortal Kombat's another one. Ghostbusters Afterlife, we're seeing the gang reunited. Don't Breathe 2, there's some really interesting ones in here actually, some really interesting movies that are going to Masters of the Universe. We're getting a Masters of the Universe live action remake. If that's a hit. Hotel Transylvania 4, Adam Sandler and the gang, that is a big deal for Netflix. I don't think it can be understated how much of a coup it is for them to do a deal with Sony Pictures. And a blow, I keep saying it, to Disney and to Marvel fans who want all of this content under the one house. They're not going to get it. It's over at Netflix now. As a Netflix subscriber, as someone who's been subscribed to Netflix for nigh on a decade, doesn't really bother me. I'll watch my content there. I'll watch my content on Disney Plus. I'll watch it on Amazon Prime. I don't really give a shit where the movies reside as long as I get to watch them. But I know there's anal OCD freaks out there who want it all under the one house. But look, good news for Netflix, bad news for the rest of the competition. Disney won't care. They've got a myriad of different stuff coming out. But for the likes of Amazon, for Apple, this is a blow, man. This will draw more subscribers. Or maybe they'll build upon that huge subscription base over at Netflix. Fascinating times, man, to see how this streaming battle plays out. I'm very intrigued to see who will reign supreme in the next 5 to 6 years. Will it still be Disney? Will it be Amazon? Will it still be Netflix, I should say? Will it be Disney or Amazon taking the crown from them? Will be very interesting. But look, I'm moving on. I've got lots of topics to speak about. I'm not going to overstay my welcome. Here to speak about Thor, Love and Thunder director. I was about to say Thor on its own. Taika Waititi, a man I love. One of my all-time favourite modern day directors. He's got such a unique voice, a unique talent to bring to the table at Hollywood and further afield. He's been speaking about his struggles, his troubles of getting unique scripts handed to him in Hollywood. At the start of his career, it's different now. Now that he's done Ragnarok, he's done the likes of, I don't know, what movies has he done? The Hunt for the Wilder People. My mind's blanking. I love him. Jojo Rabbit. That was the one I was looking for. Since he's done those two movies, that's opened the doors. The studios know what they're getting with this guy. They know that he can bring his A-game and bring them money at the same time. So look, this is what he's had to say. Some lengthy quotes in here. That's a theme in this show tonight. Lots of quotes. Lots and lots of speech happening, and I have to read it. And that's a bad thing. Every time I'd make a film, I'd come to LA. This is Taika saying it incidentally. They'd offer me a script that was basically the film I'd just made. And that just meant that that's the only way they saw me, was in that I'd done and not what I could do. So I would continue back home and make another film that's completely different to everything else I'd made. And by the time Thor Ragnarok came along, I'd done 4 completely different films where you wouldn't really say there's a particular style that I have. He goes on to say this, another lengthy quote. Taika loves speaking as much as I do. Eventually someone did say this makes us interested for what's next, and we're not going to ask him to continue to do the thing he just did. That's when Marvel was like, we think you should do four, I should say. 4! I've hit my ball off into the rough. 4! Jesus Christ, John. They were the first American studio to take a big risk on me. Ever since then, more doors have opened, and the people who are at the door have realised it's more exciting when you don't know what to expect from someone. He's absolutely right. We have got a real bereftness, if that's a word, of unique ideas, of unique movies. It's just the same rehashed pish again and again and again. The same horrors with cheap parlour trick jump scares. The same old action movies, the same old crap getting churned out every single year. There's a real lack of originality, of unique minds in the game. You've got Chris Nolan, Tarantino, looks like Chloe Zhao's an up-and-coming one. There's a couple of other ones in there, but in main it's just the same old identikit directors churning out the same old identikit scripts. And Taika is very much in the previous group. Very unique man, unique mind. He says that he didn't have a style after his first 4 or 5 movies, but argue against that. I think his style was pretty clear. He a very funny man, can inject humour into any genre, but at the same time balance 40 million different human emotions and different genres within a genre, within the one scene. You watch Jojo Rabbit, I mean, the guy's giving you laughs, and then he's giving you tragedy, then he's giving you laughs, then he's giving you little emotive, subtle moments. So I'd say that's his style. His style is very unique. He can balance ridiculous amounts of genres within genre, within emotions, within scenes. And I'm glad that he's finally being given that voice to do it on a bigger stage, to give film fans something unique in a sea of just samey shit. And I'm glad that he's come out and mentioned his struggles, because that'll be good for up-and-coming directors, up-and-coming talent, to say that, look, you may have that voice, you may have that brilliance, you may have that cult following, but to make it into the mainstream, to make it big, you really do have to work your balls off. Just keep knocking back the shite scripts, doing what compels you, and you will get your breakthrough at some point. I love Taika, man. What we do in the shadow, what we did in the shadows, what a movie that was, man. And just all these movies, man, they're all different, but they're all the same. They've all got that stylistic uniqueness, as I just said, Taika's trademark. So I hope he has huge success with Thor: Love and Thunder. I hope he has huge success with the up-and-coming Star Wars project that we don't know anything about. We know that it's the Kirsty something Cairns, whatever her name is, the Scottish Glaswegian writer who worked with Sam Wilson on 1917. Hopefully he has success with that. Hopefully he has success with Next Goal Wins or whatever it's called, because I want him to balance the big blockbuster hits with the little indie hits. I want it to be like Nirvana in the 90s. They have their success, then they go off and do something really fucking strange and different, just to compound the critics. But look, I'm moving on, man. I says I've got hundreds of topics to speak about and a half, and I'm not lingering on them too long. This next one's about Martin Scorsese's next movie, The Killers of the Flower Moon. I had to look at it there, right in front of me, because I'd already forgot the title. I don't know why, it's a very unique named movie, let's be honest. But look, the writer, Eric Roth, has been out speaking about this movie. We know very little about it. We just know that it's set in a sort of Indian reserve, is that what you call the Native American territories over in the United States and just North America in general. It's set within that. There's some authorities try to steal oil from out with their feet. We've got lots of corruption, criminality, budding FBI in there, and a great cast. Robert De Niro's in there. We've got Leonardo DiCaprio. We've got Jesse Plemons. Fantastic, stacked to the absolute pack to the rafters, I should say. Cast, and a truly great mind in Martin Scorsese, one of the all-time great directors. And by all accounts, this Eric Roth guy, whose name seems familiar, but I'd have to see his face to see if it's the same guy I'm thinking about. He's been out speaking and he's been praising it to the absolute heavens, man. He has had this to say. He says, I think this is my 5th or 6th year on it. I'm going to try and catch it again. And there was some changes that came about that were interesting. My iPad nearly packed up there. It was interesting. He says it nearly came about that were interesting about what Leonardo was going to play in it. He says, I think in the long run we all had our moments of trying to figure out how best to portray things, because this story, I've screwed it, man. I've not even got the fucking quote up. What a shambles. I'm supposed to have that quote up there, man, to read it, so that if people can't understand me, they can at least see why I'm pronouncing words the way I'm pronouncing them with it on the screen. So there you go, it's on the screen now. To figure out how to best portray things and to make the story so impactful, I think we ended up with exactly the right material, and what Marty made the right... I have. I'm just paranoid there. I was looking at the OBS and it had me a wee bit worried there for a second. Right decision, blah blah blah, he's going to make. Obviously I would say this, but I think all my work, this one would be one of the great movies. I mean, I think it has all the ingredients, which I don't want to jinx, but the story is so important. It is important, man. It's almost like your man from Hell or High Water, and that it's a borderline neo-western, that's the word I'm looking for. And it's going to explore some interesting societal issues within it, some racial issues as well. He's got another quote down here which I'll get into, just exploring the violence against these individuals that transpired in the 1920s, 30s, and the fact that they couldn't get justice. And you'll see it in this quote. I'm pretty sure he's saying it's against Native Americans. If it isn't, then I do apologise sincerely. I'm talking absolute shit. But here's what he's had to say. I mean, people will be in suits and things because it's 1921. It's during the Prohibition, but the ethos is, I think, very Western. And also I think Western justice, about how they couldn't find 12 white men to convict the killing to convict a white man of killing a Native American, you'd have a better chance of having them convicted of kicking a dog, and that's the kind of feeling on that. You have these incredible people, the Osage family, that a character comes and marries into, and who's a villain and who isn't, and then into that comes a kind of heroic guy, Tom White, his name is, who Jesse Plemons is playing, who was in the Texas Rangers, and you couldn't get more Western than that. He goes on to speak about Leo, his part, how it's very complicated, how Jesse isn't in a sense playing the out and out leading role, he's just playing the designated hero, and that we've got some interesting stuff going on here. We've got realism, we've got rich historical story here, some truly stupendous talent acting it out, a very unique story that's evolved and nuanced, and it's changed as faces have come in and out. I'm very excited about this movie, man. As I keep saying, I always forget the name of this guy, man. I always forget his goddamn name. Hell or High Water. What is he called? Hell or High Water. His name is Taylor Sheridan, a great writer, a great modern day writer, a guy who balances the action on the screen with deep, meaningful scripts and themes. It looks as though we're going to get that in this movie, and it's the correct setting for it. I don't think we've really explored the sort of racial injustice against Native Americans on screen very many times. We've seen it with the black community, we've seen it with Asian communities to a lesser extent. Never really seen it against the Native Americans, so the script is right. We've got a great man in charge of it, and Martin Scorsese. We've got a great cast that will act it out with authenticity, who will have fucking Oscar buzz coming out of every orifice in their body. If it's as good as this Eric Roth suggests it is, and by all accounts, man, Scorsese doesn't really make a bad movie, does he? So I would assume there is some justification in him praising it to high heavens. And this is going on a streaming service. This is going straight to Apple TV Plus, so it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out, how that will impact eyeballs getting to it. How will that impact on the actual success of it? Obviously the award ceremonies and the actual pinnacle of that in the Oscars. I'm excited about it, man. I'm happy to see there's people praising it. I'm happy to see Jesse Plemons front and centre in this as well, getting some real meaty roles to act out, and he's not just a supporting character actor in this, he's a designated hero. He's going to be alongside some rich talent, as ever. This guy's in every good movie that's been made in the last 10 years. Let's be honest, that's hyperbolic, but it's actually true as well. And on that note, man, I'm going to move on to the fourth topic. It's all about Robert Pattinson, the Batman. He's been out speaking about it, about the pressures of the fandom weighing down on him, and how it's impacted the very words that come out of his mouth, because he's almost scared to open his mouth up, because everything he says, in a sense, is getting taken out of context and bringing heat on him. But this is what he's had to say. I'll not say the words of Robert Pattinson, I'll just read it, ad lib, right from, that's not even the right fucking word, but you know what I mean, I'll read it word for word, what he's saying there in that quote. It's a very long quote as well. Says it was the theme of the show tonight, lots and lots of quotes. I had this to say, I mean, I've got a lot of thoughts. Well, it's funny like doing, his English in this quote is brutal, so this is going to be interesting, try to read this. I've done so many movies where, you know, I play these sort of partially monstrous characters, and when you've not got yourself off to a good start there, Robert, you're speaking about being taken out of context, and then you're calling Batman monstrous, because you kind of are. You're hinting that he's a monstrous character. That fandom will be on you again after this. You continue to say, and whenever I've been promoting them, you know, normally no one cares what you say about it. And I've just noticed every single time I say one sentence about Batman, there's this massive, I'm offending swathes of Batman fans. But I mean, the interesting thing about Batman itself is that you can basically, it's been played in so many different ways. The comics cover so much ground, the movies cover so much ground. I mean, if you're going on if you're trying, this is what I'm saying, butchered English, he does this in interviews, it's kind of stuttery and stop-start. It's alright to say it when you're saying it, but when someone's trying to repeat it from a quote, it's fucking murder. If you're trying to play a historically accurate Batman, I mean, you could literally play anything, so I guess it's kind of what Matt Reeves is directing, and kind of wants to go for. You're absolutely right, Robert. Look, don't worry about these bitch DC fanboys. They were hot on the tail of Heath Ledger when he get cast as Joker. Look how that played out. They don't know anything. They're little bitches that'll moan about anything. He's getting at the moment where he says, in a sense, Batman's not really a superhero, he's just a hero. And he's right. I've said this time and again, Batman isn't a superhero, he's a mere mortal with bundles of cash who can buy the latest technology, the best suits, all these crazy gadgetry, and that makes him a hero. He's not like a Superman. He ain't a superhero. He's not like Wonder Woman where he has God-given abilities. He can actually leap off of clouds, crack a whip off of a lightning bolt, rebuild the Great Wall of China with his laser eyes. That ain't Batman. Batman is a hero. And that's why he's so accessible, and that's why he's almost my favourite DC character, because you could be Batman in real life. If you had billions of dollars and you were compelled to do what he does, you could do it in real life. You can't be Superman. It's impossible. So I never had an issue with our bats, as I've called them, in the quote there, the little graphic down there. I've never had an issue with Pattinson's comments of Batman. He's a real actor's actor. He gets delved right into the story, and he looks at it from different angles and tries to give us a different performance to what we've seen before. We will get this with this version of Bruce Wayne. We will get it via the eyeballs and the brilliance of Matt Reeves as well. He's given us something truly different. The more detective side of things, a gallery of villains in the first movie. It's going to be interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing our Bats' performance. I don't believe the pish that was out in the media about him being a malevolent force on the set, doing Matt Reeves' head in, being a bit of a pain in the arse to the point where Reeves doesn't want to work with him again. I don't believe it. I think it's all pish. He's a very professional guy, a great actor. And yeah, don't worry about those DC fanboys. They're alright, man. They'll come round to it when they see a performance. I'm absolutely certain of it. Robert, but look, I don't know why I'm saying that as if he's watching this. He ain't ever going to see this. He don't give a shit about my opinion. And on that note, I'm going to move on to the next and probably the final topic, to be honest with you. The last topic was all about Dwayne Johnson, The Rock himself, getting geared up to start shooting Black Adam. It's starting next week. The guy's got quads on him the size of a small country. I'm going to quickly cover it now because I just feel like I have to show that fucking photograph off. This guy's single quadriceps grouping together on his leg is bigger than my two legs put together. And I do weight training, man. I do squats. I do the lot. I do lunges. This guy is an absolute fucking monster. Look at the shape of this guy. This guy's in his 50s, I think. He's entering his 50s. He's building up for Black Adam. This guy's tailor-made for superhero movies. He is a superhero in real life. I cannot wait to see Black Adam. I cannot wait to see this guy who's been a heroic figure for me throughout my childhood and into my teens and now in my adult years. Just an absolute inspiration. Cannot wait to see this guy going in and doing his absolute best with Black Adam. It's starting next week. We will see footage of this movie pretty soon, I'm sure. A couple of months or so. One movie we've not seen footage of though is this. We've not seen footage of the Eternals. We've seen leaked merchandise information from South America. Random shit like that. We're seeing hot toys and fucking random posters leaked. We've not seen any information about this movie in terms of trailers, teasers that I'm aware of. And I think the reason behind that is this headline here. They've not yet settled on a final cut of this movie. They've got a sort of, is it mechanical? I don't think it is mechanical, but they've got a raw cut of this movie. And they just can't settle on it. It's supposed to have been out already. It's been delayed about a year and a half now, and they're still not finished. I don't know if this is a positive thing, a negative thing. We've seen the likes of Taika and other voices coming out and saying how the lockdown and the delays because of COVID was actually a positive thing. It was allowing them to alter the movie and craft it into a perfect vision, whereas before they'd get rushed. They'd have 2 months to get the movie put together and out, and it made for a half-arsed job. And that's why you've seen Snyder and stuff like that doing definitive versions. We've got Rocky 5 getting made with Stallone just now, a definitive director's cut. It's because of a business and the way they force them. So I don't know if this is a good thing, a bad thing, this delay, but we've got a quote in here somewhere. I don't know who it is. I think it's the editor himself. It's 2 editors. It's Dylan Teichner and Craig Wood. Well, I think it's Dylan that's been out speaking. And he's had this to say: I'm working with Chloe. Chloe edits her movies and she has strong opinions, but she also wants to know everything I'm thinking. And frankly, we did the whole first cut without much input from her in terms of the takes or this or that. That's concerning, because she's a very, very good director. Anyone that's seen Nomadland will know how good she is. So the fact she didn't even consult her for the first cut, that's probably why it's not been finished yet, because she wants to put her stamp on it. But you went on to say, and she just watched it, and the things that she wants to tweak, we tweak. But by and large, she's really relied on our experience and our point of view. That's why we're hired, for our creativity, our experience, and sense of humour. But I think that makes the best result. I'm not concerned about this. I think this is absolutely fine. She's very busy, Chloe. She's getting awards galore. rained upon her. She's getting nominations galore rained upon her. She's busy promoting and trying to get the best for Nomadland. There is plenty of time for this movie to be edited and a final cut to be decided upon. It's not coming out till way later in the year. We've got months upon months upon months between now and its release. The only thing that nags me is the fact that we will not get a trailer anytime soon, because if they have not got a clear vision for the final movie, they will not want to put out a teaser or a trailer that will give the wrong idea. If you go back to Rogue One, the absolute clusterfuck that movie was with Gareth Edwards before Tony Gilroy came in, we got a teaser released at Star Wars Celebration. It got leaked, and it did not resemble the original movie, or the movie that came out at all, with Darth Vader on the Death Star or some crazy shit like that. It wasn't in the original movie, or the movie that actually came out. That's why you don't put half-arsed visions out in a trailer, because you get people worked up, they start theorising, they see the movie, it's not in it, and they're disappointed. So, take your time, get it right. I'm sure they will get it right. I'm sure it'll be absolutely nailed on. You can't really go wrong with that cast. The cast is just unbelievable. Camille Nanjiani, Richard Madden, Penelope Cruz, I think she's in it. Salma Hayek, I always say that. I always say it's Penelope Cruz. It's fucking Salma Hayek. Angelina Jolie, unbelievable cast, man. Stacked. It's an epic movie. It's taking place over thousands of years. It's going to have a really interesting introduction that could set up other characters like the mutants and Fantastic Four with this introduction. It's going to be very interesting, man. I'm looking forward to seeing the first trailer. Hopefully we get something meaty in terms of leaks or just actual promotional push for this movie, because all, as I says, we've got is some random shit from South America, like toys and leaked posters for the toys, and it's not enough, man. This movie's coming out in about 6 months, and we need to start seeing some kind of promotion. We'll get it when we get it. I just says, I don't want to contradict myself. You want the actual vision of the fucking movie out there, finalised before you put a trailer out, but I'm a Marvel fan, I want to see it. I want to see a Shang-Chi trailer as well, man. Come on, we're not interested in Black Widow, man. Get that out and get it out of the way. I want to see movies for the future. But look, I'm done, guys. I'm rambling. The end is here. What's your thoughts on the topics I touched upon? What do you make about this Netflix deal with Sony Studios? Do you think that's a good move for the two parties? Do you think it's good to have SpiderMan and other Sony properties exclusively on Netflix for the future and beyond? Or are you disappointed? Are you a Marvel fan that wants to see Spider-Man solely on Disney Plus? What's your thoughts on the other topics I touched upon? Taika Waititi coming out and speaking about the trials and tribulations of trying to get movies, big chances in Hollywood, and try to get his unique voice out there. What do you make about Killers of the Flower Moon? The writer Eric Roth coming out and speaking about how it's going to be an absolute hit for the ages, that Scorsese has a monster on his hands. What do you make about the other topics? Pattinson coming out and speaking about the DC fandom getting down his throat every time he opens his mouth. Do you think, like me, they're all little bitches and they want to shut the fuck up and let Robert do his thing because he's a great actor? Finally, what do you make about Eternal's not even been finished yet? A year after it should have been out, I think. I mean, when did it? Was it supposed to come out July last year? Not quite a year, but you get what I mean. If you've got anything to say at all, you can comment down below in the comment section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Hit the follow button on Twitch if you want to see more content like this in the future. You will get it tomorrow. We will be reviewing episode 4, is it? 4 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. If you want to see that, then subscribe, follow, you'll get it. But look, guys, until then, I'm done. Bye-bye.